Okay, the Oceana Air Show Day 2 just ended. This is actually our last day here because I got to head home because my wife broke her wrist. Different story, but we are pleased to be joined by the Commander of Naval Air Forces Atlantic, Admiral Verissimo. Let's start, because the Blues just flew, with your career. You were a Blue Angel in the late 90s.
Late 90s, yep.
So talk to us about that tour and what that was all about.
Very much an honor to be chosen for that tour.
So what was your previous tour that you got chosen to be a Blue Angel?
So I was a Naval Aviation cadet, a NAVCAD.
Okay.
So when I finished my fleet tour, the Navy sent me to college at Cal State University, Fresno. I got a degree in mathematics. I left there to go instruct at the RAG, and as I was getting my IUT syllabus, my instructor training syllabus, I rushed and was selected to be a Blue Angel. So a little bit of a surprise. I thought I was introducing myself one year for the next, and lo and behold, I was selected. It was an honor. It was extreme joy followed by fear.
Okay.
Be careful what you chase, you might just get it.
Yes.
And it was a lot of hard work that goes into flying that close with that precision, with that, and the travel schedule. It is a busy lifestyle.
That's not really shore duty.
It's not shore duty, but it was a gift of a lifetime.
Okay.
It really was. And looking back on it, being a Blue Angel, and then good, bad, or indifferent, the Navy decided to send me to be a cat and arresting gear officer after it.
I want to dig in on that, because that's a very unorthodox pivot from being a Blue Angel to being a shooter. So what number Blue Angel were you during the years you were there?
So I was the narrator for the first year. So
number 7.
Still get some of those raps down. I got.
Do Fat Albert for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, United States Marine Corps. Fat Albert.
I like it.
I could stretch it out some more.
No, you got it. You got it.
Over the top. You get a plan-formed view. I got it all.
We get it. All right. So anyway, so you're number 7, and then you go to what?
6 and 5.
Okay, 6 and 5.
So opposing solo, then lead solo.
Okay. So 3-year tour. First year as the narrator, where you fly number 7 around with the
media flights, set up the shows, make sure the ready room is ready to go, the parking spots, the cars, all the yeoman work. But and then, as I said, the media flights, which was a lot of fun to introduce the team to the media.
So you're coming up for orders. Generally, Blue Angels are by-name calls to go back to a squadron. Now, where are you, because you've had this unorthodox NAVCAD career that you've described, so where are you year-wise? Are you ready for a department head coming out of that?
So I had a little space to be a department head, so I basically had a year. Having talked to the recruiter, we thought War College would be a great opportunity since I was in 04, but I needed another year to start department head. There happened to be some folks that were interested in getting TAC Air aviators back into the shooter business, so that became a priority for the Navy.
Okay.
Was a surprise to me. I went there dragging my heels a little bit, but as I said earlier, the transition, both the experience of being a rock star or out in front and showing the American public what the Navy and Naval Aviation is all about, and then going to the fleet and being the V1 and V2 division officer on an aircraft carrier with the salt of the earth doing blue-collar work was exactly what I needed.
What carrier are we talking about?
John C. Stennis,
okay.
Working for Admiral Gallagher, at the time Captain Gallagher and Captain Branch, both flag officers.
Weasel Gallagher?
Weasel
Tomcat
Gallagher.
Guy?
Tomcat guy.
One of my original RAG instructors.
Working for those two gentlemen helped me alleviate the apprehension of working on a ship.
So how long did you do that tour?
Just short of 2 years.
Okay.
And then department head tour, Blue Blasters, department head, Gunslinger CO, just went and said hi to the guys over around the corner on the Gunslingers. And then I was picked up for the Navy Nuclear Power Program, XO at TR, deep draft on the New Orleans, and then Carl Vincent, commanding officer for 2 deployments, which was High Point.
And then did you have a strike group? Strike
group command was on the TR, and that was post as COVID was wrapping up, and
so you took over.
I took over
in the wake of all of that.
On the wake of all that, and getting
chaos.
the crew together, and the crew just rallied. The sailors, the officers, the wardroom, we got focused on the business at hand and protecting the nation, and they just did wonderfully.
Yeah, because that was kind of a tough situation.
It was. It was a tough situation.
Yeah. Then, is that when you got selected to be Air Land?
No, I don't stay in jobs very long. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I was N81, which is assessments of our future capabilities and what we should invest in. Wonderful job in OpNav, really looking at what the Navy's going to bring. And then I got to be the Director of Maritime Operations at Fleet Forces for a year, focusing on today, every day operating the fleet. From there, I was selected to Airland. I've only been there 5 weeks and really ready to get after the job.
We met at Tailhook a few weeks ago, and I mentioned that I had been aide to Airland. I was a RAG instructor right here, Hangar 404, and was similarly yanked out of that job because the guy in front of me was sent packing sort of quickly. We won't get into the details of that. But I had flown with Admiral Les as a RAG instructor. I introduced him to dumb bomb dropping in the Tomcat. It also turns out that my detailer was his son-in-law. And so this is sometimes how things work, and I needed to work, right? So I went to be aide to Airland. And in those days, both coasts, the Airland and Airpac, were 3-stars,
correct,
as you know. When did it go to follow?
So I think it was mid to late 90s. So my two bosses are Air Boss, who's Airpac, who reports to the CNO for all things aviation. And I work for Admiral Cottle on the East Coast as Fleet Forces for readiness generation for the forward fight.
But what was the reason for, was it there are too many 3-stars, or was it cost savings, or what? Why did we do that?
I'm not a historian. I can't really speak with 100% authority. But when we bracked, we reduced the size of the force. We reduced the number of flag officers. So when you don't have as many 3-stars, you keep one in the Pentagon, and in this case, we have one lead TICOM, whether it's surface, subsurface, air, information. We have a 3-star lead TICOM.
The point here in this modern world, and we'll talk about some of our friends who are at Hook who have been affected by the current holdup on NOMS, but the Navy has the ability to adjust accordingly. And here's a good example where Airland became a 2-star subordinate, as you've described, to Airpac. So we were just out at Hook, and I saw some of my old JOs like George Wyckoff, who's nommed to be 5th Fleet, now the acting air boss.
Acting air boss.
Your boss now, right?
Check.
So you're reporting to, but we don't know how long he's going to be in that job, right? So he moved from DC to San Diego, awaiting orders to Bahrain. So this chaos is a thing. It's not without the ability to overcome it, but I'm not going to drag you in the political arena here.
So naval aviators thrive in chaos. Admiral Wyckoff and I can work together day in and day out
until he goes to 5th Fleet.
And it doesn't matter who's a 3-star, who's a 2-star. We're doing our best to solve naval aviation's problems. And it's who's the senior JO in the ready room? There are no senior JOs in the ready room.
True.
He has the staff. He has the mechanism. He has the direct line to the CNO, and I'm going to support him as best I can to get the job done until he goes to 5th Fleet.
So are you saying, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but it doesn't matter? These holdups don't matter in terms of readiness, morale, all the other resonant effects of these actions?
I don't want to speak broadly, but in my specific case, I think Admiral Wyckoff and I are ready to hold down the fort as best we can, irrespective of whether you have 2-stars or 3-stars on your shoulder. The structure exists for us to take care of each other. Obviously, it would be better if folks can move on. There's a million and one questions, but as Airland, that really is not my focus area. It is to optimize the manning, training, and equipping of our forces to get after the mission for Admiral Cottle on the East Coast and for Admiral Paparo on the West Coast, if the need be.
We'll also note that Admiral Verissimo is not an acting flag officer. He's in the billet.
I'm in the billet.
You were nom for. So what's keeping you up at night then? What are the issues that are number?
Yeah, so I think right now, if I could talk to parents who served or parents of children, it really is getting our younger people to think about service on a team, service in a uniformed organization, and in specifically Naval Aviation has got their arms wide open. We're doing a pretty good job with retention. We could always do a little bit better, and holding the best people and having competition for retention is important, but getting folks to enlist and for officers to come in and accept a commission and serve and write a contract seems a little bit harder right now than it has been in the time. It's the economy, it's many different factors, it's COVID and coming out of COVID, but my message is this is a great place to work. The air show is a great venue to showcase the Blue Angels and teamwork and all the other squadrons. I was just sitting with 2 of my nuggets when I was CEO of the Gunslingers. They came out to visit with me in the tent and watch the air show today. You talked about folks you served with who were JOs back in the day. We stay together as a team. It's a family affair, and it's family you choose, and you keep in touch with those folks you connect with.
Yeah, well said. We were at the club last night, Hoser and I. Hoser's the cameraman. So Hoser was CAG paddles when I was a Super JO in VF-143. He literally saved my life using Mobilis in the North Atlantic, kept us off the rabbit. Yeah, it's just another day in his life.
That was after he got glasses, though, right? Because he was a LSO.
Well, he doesn't even remember that. I'm just one of the many whose lives he saved. But we're at the club, and it's, you know, those environments bring back all the memories and all the good times. To your point, this is a community. It's generational, and that never goes away. So, again, I think that's a big sort of reason to join at any level, is that kind of,
sure,
because that's rare. I've worked in the civilian sector. It doesn't exist there in this way, you know, so that's a big deal. So flight hour funding, FMC rates, all those sort of things. We are making
very good strides in meeting readiness marks. The maintenance operations centers that Oscar Meyer, my predecessor, initiated are proving their worth. And now we're able to take those initial steps and quick wins that we got and expand them into full mission readiness and understanding exactly what, whether it's training or equipment, supply parts, what it takes to keep the force ready and how to keep the force ready under stress. COVID both affected the supply chains and gives us some challenges right now, but it also shows us that under a stressful situation, what you really need to have on hand to operate. So like everything, there's both sides. There's a yin and a yang. Not wishing anything on COVID on anybody. It certainly wasn't fun, but we now can understand a little bit better what it takes to perform under stress, and that's an important lesson to take.
So how's Ford doing on their first real deployment?
Ford's doing well. First they did the service retain, the 2-month deployment. Now they're doing a full 5.5-month deployment. We're going to turn them around in a relatively short period of time with some yard work, and they're going to do a third or a second real deployment, if you want to go by a GFM deployment in the not too distant future. Ford is meeting the mark. We're learning about what supplies they need, and those operation centers, those maintenance centers are really helping us define and narrow our focus on what the key components and training is.
So EMALs, the electronic catapults, are working
well.
And so sortie generation rates are good. How about those weapons elevators, which is
working well, and we're working on JFK right now to get her out more quickly, taking those lessons learned from Ford onto the next carrier, JFK, John F. Kennedy, working their weapons elevators ahead of time so they're ready to go.
Well, Admiral Doug Verissimo, you're a very busy man. I know you've had a long day today. It's good to follow up with you after we met at Hook.
Yeah, thanks.
So thanks for spending some time with us here today.
Look forward to doing it again.
All right, that will do it from the Oceana Air Show. So if you're not a subscriber, become one, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon.